registration form, so we will move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I move to approve agenda items 3.1 to 3.4, which include the minutes from the June 22nd, 2026 board meeting, monthly claims, personnel, extracurricular field trips, facilities usage contributions, gifts, and superintendent stipends as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor to approve agenda item 3.1 to 3.4 as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same. Motion carries. Dr. Tharp, you might be up first.
Yep, I got a few things here to ask the board to discuss and approve. Hopefully, tonight I'm going to ask the board to approve me as the appointee or the designee to sign agreements for alternative services and private residential school placements. What this is, we've done it every year, but this allows me, if we have a student that needs to go to a residential placement, I work with the special ed director and all those other folks to help make that determination, and so this gives me the authority to sign off on it, so I don't have to bring it to every board meeting for business.
Mr. President, I move to approve agenda item 4.1 for the appointment of the superintendent as the designee to sign agreements for alternative services and private residential school placements as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor to approve agenda item 4.1 as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same. Motion carries.
Next on the agenda this evening is agenda item 4.2, which is to hear the second reading and approve policy 6109, which is the acceptance of payment by credit card. Really, when you dive into the details of this policy, it's basically we are held responsible to protect that information, that credit card information and ID, if people use their credit card here. So if it's breached on our end, we are held responsible and have to inform those folks.
Mr. President, I move to approve agenda item 4.2 to hear the second reading and approve policy 6109, acceptance of payment by credit card as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I just have a quick question. Do we have to charge fees now, you know, like a lot of places?
I don't know exactly what the fee charge is, but yeah, unfortunately. With our funds, we can't take on those fees for people. I mean,
Right. And do we have to notify, I mean, does it have to be, so I'm just saying when I worked at the concession stands or whatever, do we have to notify people if signage?
Yeah, I think there's signage that goes along with that. I don't know to what detail, especially as we start the upcoming fall season. That'll be something I'll need to check with our athletic directors and folks to make sure we have something there present.
Okay, just curious.
Yep, good question.
Question's been called. All those in favor to approve agenda item 4.2 as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same. Motion carries.
Next is agenda item 4.3, which is the second amended and restated agreement and declaration of the trust for the Education Service Center Risk Funding Trust. This is kind of two things. One, it accepts that we can jump into this trust. Two, it's allowing me to be one of the trustees to sit on those board meetings.
Mr. President, I move to approve agenda item 4.3 for the second amended and restated agreement and declaration of trust of the Education Services Center Risk Funding Trust as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor to approve agenda item 4.3 as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same. Motion carries.
Next this evening, I'm going to ask the board to listen and look up and hear 4.4, which is the Memorandum of Understanding Agreement for Pleasant Hill with Indiana Full Spectrum Therapies. What this is Full Spectrum is out of Waynetown, and they are an ABA provider which provides services to students who are on the spectrum. This is something that we currently do with other entities like Valley Oaks Health Professionals, where they are just using our space. There's no funding, there's no money that follows. So with this memorandum, this could allow Full Spectrum to come in and service students in our school building lifetime with those students that are on the spectrum. This current placement is at Pleasant Hill, and the next thing I'm going to discuss is the same similar practice but at Sommer. What this also allows us to do too is our students who get these services, then it frees up other services in our building so those support staff members can go serve other students. So it's utilizing a local resource, but then also spreading more resources in our building to other students.
Mr. President, I move to approve agenda item 4.4 for the memorandum of understanding agreement from Pleasant Hill with the Indiana Full Spectrum Therapies as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
So, go ahead, Karen.
No, I was gonna ask, so is there a place that they can utilize within the building that's already set up? So they're just going there, meeting with that little kiddo, doing what they need to do, and then that child goes back to whatever classroom?
Yeah. Yep. Certain situations where they might actually go into the class with that student, some of that memorandum supports and protects that work, but a lot of it's one-on-one work there, so.
And so we've got an MOU for Pleasant Hill and Sommer, but not for Sugar Creek.
Yeah. At this time, Sugar Creek does not have a caseload that exists for these services. Right now at Sommer and at Pleasant Hill, there's more than one, there's more than 2 or 3. Last year, we worked with Full Spectrum a lot at Sommer Elementary with Susie, Mrs. Gephardt. So a good relationship was established where we could see that we had similar values and goals for our students. And so we thought this was a good opportunity to try this as we're navigating new ways to service students in our district.
And this is also in response to some of the challenges that we discussed in prior months with disruption and kiddos not taking away from the actual learning within those
Correct.
classes, right? This is one of the things that we're doing.
Yeah, this is one of the things, really to just build more capacity so we can service students who might be on the spectrum that need school presented in a different light and different resources. So we're going to see. I'm very optimistic and hopeful, and I know our special ed director has been extremely helpful navigating this with us. So.
I have a question first. Since I'm the models, I can't. Did this MOU come from us or from them? Or a combination thereof?
Combination in.
I assume Stu was involved in some of this?
Our special ed attorneys were
Okay.
involved. That our special ed director uses church and little.
And that's fine. I guess I want to make sure that we had some sort of.
Yep.
Because this is where some issues could probably arise in that area.
Yep.
Question's been called. All those in favor to approve agenda item 4.4 as presented signify by saying aye.
Right.
Those opposed, same. The motion carries.
Next is agenda item 4.5, which is a memorandum of understanding agreement. Same agreement, but for Lester B. Sommer with Indiana Full Spectrum Therapies as presented.
Mr. President, I move to approve agenda item 4.5 for the memorandum of understanding agreement for Lester B. Sommer with Indiana Full Spectrum Therapies as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor to approve agenda item 4.5 as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. As opposed, motion carries.
I'd like to think this might be my last textbook approval because Mrs. Walters here will be taking the helm in this work soon. But what this is item 4.6. This is a pre-calculus quote for our pre-cal class. What I pursued was online digital books and 2 physical books for this. It's a 1-year agreement. I chose 1 year because we're navigating, is this the best resource? Mrs. Boyd, who's a math teacher, assured me that it is, but with legislation changing about technology and how much technology is going to exist in the classroom, this is how we're going to tiptoe and see what it is and isn't. So I'm asking for board approval so we can get these things going this year, and then we're going to reevaluate for next year.
Mr. President, I move to approve agenda item 4.6 for the pre-calculus quote from Cengage in the amount of $4,014.89 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor to approve agenda item 4.6 as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, say. Motion carries.
Next is item 4.7, and this is a policy revision to policy 9700.01. Really, this is guidelines to approving sponsorship and making sure these guidelines are deemed and identify and define what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. Never had this, we should have had this in place, but it's just making sure that whatever we agree for sponsoring, that it falls in the lines of our values and our community, and it's respectful in our space.
Mr. President, I move to approve agenda item 4.7 for the policy revisions to policy 9700.01 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor to approve agenda item 4.7 as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same. Motion carries. Mr. Wright, I believe you're up.
Thank you. We'd like to ask the board to approve the Pepsi renewal contract agreement for item 4.8. The agreement has dwindled from what it used to be in past years. The upfront money has changed. The volume, based upon past experience, has changed, has decreased. And it's now a 5-year fixed contract rather than a annual floating contract that's eligible for renewal every year. After talking with the athletic director and meeting with the Pepsi consultant, we feel that there's really no difference whether you go with one vendor or the next anymore. I think they're getting what they want, and schools are getting very little out of the deal, so it's unfortunate.
Mr. President, I move to approve agenda item 4.8 for the Pepsi Beverage contract agreement as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
So are you saying there's actually selling less volume?
Yeah, so one of the things that the past contracts have been predicated upon was the volume that you were selling, right? Whether it's at concessions, in the cafeteria, in the vending machines, or wherever. And we've had so many problems with the vending machines that in some of the buildings, the elementaries and the middle school, for example, we've removed them because it was more of a headache than it was a benefit. So by removing those machines, they have lowered the goal that we have to achieve each year of the volume of sales, partly because we can't get them out here to fix the machines, and sometimes it's the pricing also of the products, but mostly it's the vending machines that are the issue. Is they want us to sell, but they don't send people out on a timely manner anymore to keep those machines working. It's a frequent occurrence at the high school for kids at lunch when they go up there or during passing period to lose money and have to go in the office. It's just an ongoing train of issues.
Yeah, the hardware store next to me did the same thing, just that they spent so much time trying to keep the machine working and it was frustration.
Yeah.
But the products, does it say anything about the products that they're selling to them? Because as I looked, it looked like there's no soda anymore, it's all like health drinks.
They've increased the variety, in fact. They've added some different lines of health drinks.
Gatorade,
Yeah, right,
nutritional type,
right,
rehydration.
right. They've expanded some. They still carry the traditional pop, water type products and so forth. And then, of course, the price point of each one of those products has gone up as well.
So just kind of curious, are they seeing more interest in those types of products versus the traditional?
Right. Yeah.
It's probably good.
Yeah. Yeah. We hope. We'll find out in 5 years.
Question's been called. All those in favor to approve agenda item 4.8 as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same. Motion carries.
Mr. President, we'd like to ask there was no way to ascertain what kind of work needed to be done in the pool because it was full of water, also heavily rusted, so that you couldn't see much. So we had to wait till they got that drained. They were able to go in and remove the rust, clean the grout and so forth. That unfortunately revealed a number of things that were previously not known. Some of the items I think are probably a carryover that weren't addressed previously simply because at the time their state didn't dictate immediate repair to them. There's a place where you go from the shallow to the deep on that ledge where it meets the deep end, where the tile, you can touch them. I went down to see all this. You can just touch them and there's a patch area about this big where they're just laying there. There wasn't even hardly any grout holding them in. Once you remove that, you got right down to that mortar bed of the pool. The whole inside grout line and seal that was between the wall and the floor needed to be replaced, and once he started working on that, there were more tiles that started popping out that were loose and so forth. So there's some pretty extensive work that's going on in that pool area. We're currently in a standstill because once he identified he needed more tiles than he originally had ordered, those are not an in-stock item, so we're having to wait for them to make another batch of them and send them to us. He anticipated a week and a half ago when I talked to him that it may be 2 weeks from then, so we're hoping here the next week or two to get an update, trying to prevent putting yet a different color in that pool to go with the white, the cream that already exists. So.
Mr. President, I'd like to move to approve agenda item 4.9 for the additional pool repairs cost from Daring Core Construction for the high school in the amount of $55,240 as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
At this point, though, you believe we're not going to have to put anything besides the white and then just a little bit not white.
Right, as of today.
Okay.
Yes.
Do either one of you or any board member remember when the last time we drained and repaired the pool?
Yeah.
What year that was?
Yeah, so we talked about that. So it's been about 5 or 6 years ago that they drained it, but only to clean it.
Okay.
There was no work done. They believe that it coincided with the time that the new ventilation in the pool was replaced, and so that was the major repair that was done at that time. And so prior to that, you're going back to the Dr. Brower era of the middle 2000s before extensive tile work.
I couldn't remember. I remember we done something since I've been
Yeah.
on, but I couldn't. It must have been the HV. But I thought there was another time we done some.
Yeah, I think we did a regrout probably 12 or 13 years ago.
I think there was something that we drained and we done something in that. And could you remind me what the earlier dollar amount was that we done a few months ago?
It was approximately 46,000, 44,000, something
Okay.
in that ballpark.
So we're gonna have approximately 100,000 in it this
Correct.
time when it's all said and done.
Correct. This also is, when you get down inside, when I first was called over there, he had painter's tape basically on half of that pool. There were tiles that had been chipped from people dropping things into it, like weights and so forth. There are cracks in the walls that need to be fixed. We're taking care of the handicap seat that's back along the back. The lane anchors are rusted and sharp, so they're having to manually file those down and clean them. Some of the stuff is not really applicable to try and replace it because now you're going even more extensively into that wall to do it. We're kind of doing the same thing with the drain covers up above. Once he started pulling the tile out that were bad or missing and trying to fix that, it's created some issues with those drain covers that Nick's having to address separately. So.
Very well, thank you.
And then it looks like a significant part of this is probably labor.
Yes, because you can't take any type of saw in there to cut that. You're basically down there with a hammer and chisel trying to get one single tile out that is bad for whatever reason, rust, chipped, broken. So it's basically a manual process.
And so this quote is a quote and not an estimate or a bid or anything like that. So it's, even though a lot of times you might get into a job and say, well, if there's anything extra, we'll do time and materials. This
We did not do that. From the blue tape that he had down, we pared it way back just to get to this point, to the stuff that was essential, because I imagine it would have been 3 times the cost if we would have done all of the places that he had marked. And those really weren't, again, places that needed to be done today. Those could wait till the next round.
I think, sorry, one more. The drains you're talking about that will cause problem later, are you talking about the drains that are in that stained blue surface that's on all the pool deck? Those drains? Or are you
In the
talking about the drains on the edge?
In the gutter.
In the gutter, okay.
Yeah. There are places where there used to be lights in the pool that got removed that have to be addressed. There are a few of the drains in the pool that the tile has come loose from, or that they've got sharp edges on that he's having to file down.
But we don't think there's going to be more money.
This year, no.
Yeah, that pool is the original.
It's, I saw pictures of the drains today, and Nick reminded me that they used to use muriatic acid in there instead of chlorine. And I imagine that's what's done a job on the drains themselves. And I'm not sure what was shared with you guys last year or not, but it was $500,000 to tear up that floor and replace those drains, and we're not there, but
It will be someday.
beach volleyball or replace the drains, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Which way that'll go.
That'll be a decision for another time.
Yes.
Question's been called. All those in favor to approve agenda item 4.9 as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same. Motion carries.
Next up, I'd like to ask the board to approve agenda item 4.10 for the additional concrete costs from Brody Construction for Pleasant Hill in the amount of $7,775. Originally, we did not think that it was going to be on, costs were going to go beyond the original quote of, it was $36,000 or $39,000. But what happened was, once he got in there, the concrete from the sidewalk that was close to the curb was over 17 inches deep. And so he had to call in Crown Core Construction to cut that for him. And unfortunately, when they did, it impacted some of the curb that was already bad. So this cost was basically to pull the curbing out and replace it in that section he was already working at. So when you're looking at Pleasant Hill, the main entrance, probably about 6 to 7 feet to the right, and you go all the way around past the playground entrance for ELA, we're right in that area. All that space got replaced. Looks really nice, but it took a lot. It was quite bad. And there were places in the sidewalk that were 3 inches, and there were other places that were 6 inches, and then you get down to 17 plus inches. So it was all over the place with the thickness of that sidewalk.
And that concrete probably cost more workman's comp issues in the last 10 or 15 years than any other pieces of concrete in our district, because it was becoming so unsettled and trip hazards everywhere.
Mr. President, I move to approve agenda item 4.10 for the additional concrete cost from Brody Construction for Pleasant Hill in the amount of $7,775 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
And no other grade schools are really having the same issue.
No, we've got a few things lined up elsewhere for summer, but not to that extent, and not in that area.
All those in favor to approve agenda item 4.10 as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same. Motion carries.
Next up, we'd like to ask the board to approve received word back approximately 2 weeks ago that we were accepted. The trust, like other trusts, are only for medical, does not cover dental and vision. And there is a buy-in cost to this because we're walking into a $15 million+ reserve fund. Since we didn't help contribute to that, there is a buy-in cost that we have to pay for that. They're giving us a grace period to cover that cost while we're also trying to exit and do the run-out cost from JHP at the same time. So we'll have an overlap of costs there for a period of time. As we've stated before, we really think that the trust is the way to go because the costs are comparable, if not lower, to what we were actually charging, not what JHP was charging us. And so we're currently in the process of working with the same group, Brown & Brown, to identify vision and dental. Within the trust, the other participants have 4 different organizations, or 4 different carriers that they look to, from Anthem, VSI, MetLife, and one other that's eluding me at the moment. Those 4 are the primary ones that people are using within the trust, so that's who we're looking at first. We submitted all the data we needed to. Some people use the same for vision and dental, and some use a different vendor for dental and a different one for vision. So,
Mr. President, I move to approve agenda item 4.11 for the participation in the Hoosier Heartland School Trust application for medical insurance effective January 1, 2027, as presented.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
So you think this is going to keep our costs about the same?
it will be, because we're going to start out charging folks what we need to charge them. So what we, each pay period, when we pull the corporation's contribution and the cost that each employee will be paying, it should result in a zero balance. So we're not carrying a insurance fund at 1.2 million or having to build that back up. We've talked to some other schools like Crawfordsville, who's in it. They don't carry money in a fund like insurance whatsoever. They basically pull what is due each month, they pay it, they don't have to worry about extra fees and so forth. So it should be a zero balance transaction as long as we keep charging what the rates are that we are given each renewal period.
So none of the staff are going to notice any difference.
They will, because there's some different things that we might do. The amount that when we look at some of the other school corporations that are in these trusts, the amount that they are contributing to each employee's insurance is significantly less than what we've been paying for years. I can give you a ballpark idea. For example, on one plan, we're contributing $17,000. There are other schools that the maximum they contribute, and this is only if they have a spouse working there also, is $12,500. Some school corporations are charging $10,000 for the exact same plan. So we're going through right now evaluating that, because from my perspective, there needs to be an alignment shift so that we better align with what some other people are doing to cut our costs. And this is significant cost savings if we go through and do this. There are some plans that already are pretty low, if not lower than where we're at. It's generally when you get into those family plans is where we see a significant difference between what we're currently paying and what the real world cost of those plans are. We're charging $26,000, for example. Real world is $35,000. That's what the actual cost is. And we've been eating that $8,000 charge or cost for several years now. So this is the opportunity to try to get that all back into alignment and make it more feasible for us moving forward into the future.
So if we've been eating that the past 2 or 3 years, does it show up that are teachers or whoever, do they know that's a benefit we've been providing them?
I'm gonna go off speculation that they've had no idea that this has been happening.
Okay.
We met with Megan and Donnell today, kind of gave them the exact same story that I just gave to you guys, that this has been happening. When you're looking at all that the corporation does for employees, I don't think that people have really been aware. There's raises, there's stipends, but there's also this insurance premium that we've been covering a huge chunk of. And I can't speak past 2024 because I haven't bothered to go back that far.
Right.
I've been only concerned with the past 2 years.
But I do think, I mean, I know where my husband worked, that when they got the year-end thing, they always, every little dime that they gave you, they made you aware of in your printout, you know. But maybe it's a perk that we do need to, you know.
There are some corporations in the trust who do not provide vision and dental. They offer it, but they contribute nothing to it. If the
Right.
employee wants it, it's all on the employee to take that. And by me saying that, that does not mean that that's what we're proposing to do.
Right.
I'm simply trying to provide examples of what other school corporations are doing that are not investing the amount that we have for years in insurance. And as you pointed out, people have been unaware of.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, it's a bonus, or that's a benefit I've been getting that I wasn't aware of, and I might be extremely
They're
grateful.
gonna be extremely disciplined for paying off.
Yeah. It's
Because that's exactly what's gonna happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
They don't lose any current provider network or anything like that.
It's changing to United instead of Unified Group, so there'll be a different network that they'll be in.
But they'll still have access to the clinic.
Yes, sorry. Yes, the clinic, and another nice perk about this is that the fees that we've been paying monthly for the clinic, for supplies and services, is included in the premium charges with the trust. So there's no longer a separate bill that we're going to receive. Premiums don't go up because of that, it's simply built into it. So that's another savings that we're going to experience from it, so.
Thank you for your work.
Question's been called. All those in favor to approve agenda item 4.11 as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same. Motion carries. Anything else, Mr. Reich?
Quick update on the gym floor. We're waiting Wednesday. The bleacher company's supposed to be back to affix the bleachers to the wall so that they can start painting and sealing the main gym floor.
Did they replace anything in the bleachers while they took them off? Or
When they went to move them, they couldn't get them moved, and they had to use one side to get the other side out. So there were a few more repairs that had to be made to the bleachers to get that to work the way it should.
do they don't think, because I know they battled with that all year, coming in and out, it should be better now?
Right, it's supposed to be. They replaced the wheels. They thought they replaced the motors, but we found out they didn't replace all the motors, only some of them. So once they replaced some, that made the other ones real noticeable that they weren't functioning the same way the new ones were. So those had to be replaced as well. So that should allow them to get in there. Ideally, they told us August 10th. I'm not going to hold my breath, but that's ballpark of when they're going to be done. Matt's made arrangements for volleyball to practice in the field house during this time so that no one's inconvenienced. As far as the painting, we're still trying to identify when we can get back into the gym, because we could not paint this whole time down in the lower level because there was fear that paint might go on the floor and who's going to pay for that. So we have to wait for all this to get done to figure out when Matt can find time slots for them. It may be during the day. They might come in and work during the school day. It might be that we have to wait till a break somewhere and have them work. But basically nothing down in the lower level has been touched with painting.
So, volleyball on the 18th, but that doesn't seem like a very good window.
Matt says that his backup plan is the field house, that they have had tournament games in there before, and so he's prepared to have games in there in the interim.
Mr. Clark, anything else you'd like to add?
This week, we're gonna accept and get some pictures taken with Keystone as they donated a handsome amount of money for lunch funds, which is great. Transportation meeting happened today with all our drivers, which is a great event. Most of them got their routes or close to, so they're gonna start calling parents soon to let them know who's picking them up. I don't know if you noticed today when you drove by, but our softball scoreboard, got put up. It's not finished, but they got it up today in the heat. 6th grade orientation is going on right now, and it'll continue the rest of the week. Freshman orientation is this week. Staff kickoff next Monday. Students come Wednesday. We're ready to go.
Mrs. Duncan, anything you'd like to add?
Mrs.
Walters.
No, you're good, you're good. No, I've been busy the past 3 weeks. It's been great being here. I've just been working on getting the mass screener that the state put out for elementary schools. They've got a nice convoluted little mess, a web of things, so I've been working with the elementary principals on that. I started the high ability grant this weekend and working on that today. Working with the principals and now the instructional coaches on our multilingual data and looking at any kids that could possibly exit from that. And I finished today meeting with all the principals and the assistant principals, just hearing them and listening to them and just learning about their buildings and what they've been up to so I can better serve them and support them. So it's been a great 3 weeks working alongside everybody in this office and getting to know them.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, if there'll be nothing else, I would definitely entertain